This episode of PPC Live, the podcast, is sponsored by AdSquire. AdSquire are a small team of passionate and focused legal marketers that do what it takes to get law firms spectacular results. With the landscape always changing, they stay on top of the trends and are first to find and use new strategies to accomplish this for their clients. And so if you're a law firm, you definitely want to give them a call. They've been not one of the first, they've been the first to get to serve a lawyer ad on ChatGPT. And we know that even with all like the fact that it's very new, you really want to be testing some of these new strategies very early. And yeah, the AdSquire team have got inside knowledge on how to do that and have started doing that for their clients already. So if you want to have your ads showing in ChatGPT and you're a law firm, they're the ones to contact. So please go to adsquire.com to find out how much they can help you. Hello and welcome to PPC Live, the podcast. I'm your host, Anu, the founder of PPC Live. Every week on the show, I speak to a different PPC expert about their biggest F-up and what really turned it around for them. I speak about what went wrong, what their supportive team was like, what their manager was like, what the client was like, and what the biggest learnings were. We never leave things on a defeated note because these are still PPC experts that are doing an amazing job for their clients till today. And today I have the delight of speaking to Boluwa Olojo, who is someone that I had the delight of meeting at a PPC Live event earlier this year. And she's really come alongside with me on helping me really grow this fantastic community. But here she comes, in terms of like just representing herself and talking about a really big effort that she made early in their career that really had something to do with the whole AI automation and new updates that Meta was coming out with, which she wasn't able to, keep too good an eye on, and which is something the client caught out. So yeah, one of those stories that, that nerve-wracking bit of thinking about, a mistake that you made that was a client that alerted you to it. But yeah, she really took some really great learnings on how to approach mistakes like this and how to approach, updates that whether it's Meta or Google or Microsoft come out with better in the future. So yeah, let's go speak to Bolu. Hello, Boluwa. Welcome to PPC Live, the podcast.
Hi, Anu. Great to be here. Glad to be here.
I'm so glad to see you here. I mean, I feel like we now see each other so much. Like we were at Charlie Brennan's performance MCR yesterday. And it was really great. I wasn't sure I was gonna come. Then my lovely friends at Optare, they were like, "Hey, I knew we got a free ticket," and I'm like, "I'm not gonna say no to a free ticket." And good friend Jill Saskin Gill, she'd come all the way from Canada to do the keynote, and it was absolutely fantastic. I think one of the main things that stuck out to me, which a lot of the, the really like the experts that have been doing this for years, is about how if CPCs don't be all griped about the fact that CPCs are going up. Good traffic to your site is expensive. As long as your revenue is increasing and your targets are still good, don't worry about CPCs going up too much. Neither did I. So Boluwa Olojo is a fantastic paid search marketer, someone that I only met this year, and quickly we became best friends, and I even got her to join the PPC Live, mission, and she's our community manager in our Slack group. So if you join the Slack group, you'll hear her, you'll see her giving you a roundup of all our chats, saying hi to you if you're new to the group. So yeah, join us on there as well, and you'll get to know Boluwa a little bit more. But just to give you a little introduction here, Boluwa is a growth marketing specialist with over 9 years of experience in paid media, product marketing, and organic growth. She has helped brands across fintech, health tech, and social impact scale through data-driven marketing strategies, and she regularly shares her expertise on growth and search marketing, including the largest search marketing conference in the world, Brighton SEO, and she's talked on Pinterest and as an organic growth engine. And sorry, you know what? I think that was a very nice niche of that they're doing Pinterest. Nobody talks about Pinterest. I know people talk about TikTok, and but even sometimes I hear people talk about like maybe even Snapchat and definitely like Meta, Instagram, and YouTube. That's the big names. But talking about the likes of Pinterest and what the opportunity there is in there, I think is great as well. Yeah, I'm fine right now. I'm thinking I'm not sure how much I could have prepped you a bit more as to what we're talking about, but I'm gonna throw something at you that I'm sure you're ready for. Are you gonna roll? Yeah. Fun fact. What is a fun fact that you can share with our audience about like a hobby, interesting hobby, a random hobby that you have, or any travel habits that you have, that kind of thing?
I mean, there's so many things, I'm a hobbyist. I'll just say, like, I don't know if people know this about me, but I like painting. So I
Nice.
have painting supplies at home. I have a closet for it. I have Canva, ISO. Like I paint very often. So I do paint, I do tie-dye when
Nice.
I am able to, and I've always enjoyed it. I don't really have a talent for it, but I just enjoy it.
Yeah,
So
as I
that's
said, and you're a
one
hobbyist. You don't
random,
have to have talent. Everything doesn't have
yeah,
to be about talent. Sometimes can just be like doing it to enjoy.
exactly. So I enjoy that very much. And yeah, it's a fun fact. That's something that
Nice.
I think most people wouldn't know. It's not in the front of a lot of things I do. Yeah.
Yeah. What was like for your painting? What's like your inspiration? If we were to give us like an example of another kind of like maybe a famous painter or or like a UK painter that inspires your work, who do you have any names?
So I don't have, because I'm not like, I'm an amateur, like I'm not even doing it to sell it, it's just for my collection. There's obviously people whose work I enjoy. Most of them are textile makers, people that would make
Okay.
like fabric. I used to go to Abeokuta, for context, that's in Nigeria, in Ogun State, to go and watch people make tie-dye. I have a guy in
Oh,
Abeokuta that makes most of my fabric for me. So I'm very
nice.
into like craft. I think it's to do with the fact that my mom used to be really into crafting. I used to do paper mache with my sister. It just kind of grew into different things. But right now,
Nice.
somebody I'm really enjoying her work is Dora Kuli's daughter. Well, I know her name, but I just refer to her as that. But she just did a painting for Obama. I don't know if you saw that Obama painting that is going viral
Okay.
everywhere. It's like $3 million in Nigerian
Wow.
bay.
Wow.
She's Nigerian, 100% Nigerian. Both her parents are Nigerian.
And yeah, I'm very bad with names.
Injideka, sorry, her name is Injideka. I don't want to be crucified. Yeah, I've forgotten her name, but yeah, Akuli Crosby. Yeah, she just did a painting for Obama Center, and it's
Wow.
Obama and Michelle, and then oh my God, it's so good. But that paper mache thing is what I've always liked, so she incorporated it as well. Anyway, fantastic. Let's not go into that.
Right?
That's
You know
an
exactly. Literally,
aside.
like 8 minutes in, and people are like, guys, can we talk about PPC
About
mistakes? You're
PPC,
talking about crap.
yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
fair.
But I'm sure people will be really interested to see that. I feel it's nice. Let's get to know our guests. We're not just people who talk about data and B2B and PPC and QFC and all the algorithms. There's a lot wide vast of interests of people on that come that do paid search, and which is why I like my guests really going like, oh, okay, I feel like I know this person a bit more, and they're not just about just the data. So yeah, that's really cool. Anyway, so another one of my fantastic guests here, Bolu, is like the several other fantastic guests that we've had. So yeah, I'm gonna pass things on to Bolu now. Bolu, what's the F up you'd like to share with us today?
Okay, so I had like a rundown. I had three of them. I was looking
Oh,
at them. I'm still looking at them.
I love it.
But I think one of the ones that I would pick up on and talk about is one that I feel like had a bigger effect. I'll talk about Meta specifically.
Sure.
So last year, Meta is, I know you're not really on platform as much anymore, but
No.
Meta is a nightmare. You see memes going around. If you're on Instagram, people will say personally victimized by Meta Business Suite or Ads Manager. It can be very, very hard to get around if you've not been doing it for long or you left it for a bit. I'm sure if you go into Meta today, you're going to have a long day just because of how messy it can be, right? So Meta, they do a lot of updates. Zuckerberg is AI this, AI that. So one day they change all our creatives and creative started to have overlay, text overlay on it. This was
Mm,
early days. Now that's like a common thing, but this was 2015, first quarter. We just set up new campaigns. You know how January can be. Q1 is horrible. I set up
yes.
all these campaigns. I didn't know that AI had Meta has so many AI automations. So they added so many things. They added music. Our colors are purple. They added green overlay text. These ads have been running for minutes. Meta is not a big platform for me, at least at that job. Google had 90% of my spend. So I used to be on Google every morning. Meta, I
Yeah.
would go like every 3 days because it was just
Yeah.
bringing in traffic. And that's the best practice, right? You put 100K here, you're going to spend your time checking how you're spending that money. only for me to get a message. Messages kept coming in on Teams that day. You know, Teams notification is a
Uh,
nightmare
yes.
already.
Ding, ring.
Um,
You're like, mute.
Somebody way, way, way up ran into our ads. And it was not like she ran into it and she's like, why am I seeing this ad? She was actually looking for something for her mom. And it was close, like it's like, oh, this is good targeting.
Okay.
But our brand colors are purple. The text overlay on the ad is green.
Yeah.
So you know how you have a picture, you have copy. Meta took the copy out, put it and put overlay of green text on it, green background on white text. So she's seeing the picture. It's our picture, it's our logo, text is green. Sends the screenshot who is running this ad. I'm like, it's not me. Somebody's using our name because how would that have happened? You know, it's never
Yeah.
happened before. I didn't even know
Yes,
that
he
Meta
didn't
had that picture.
recognize.
It wasn't
Yeah. Yeah.
even,
Yeah.
I know the
Yeah.
picture. So I went to ads library. I was so confident. I went to ads library. I didn't even go into ads manager. I went to
Yeah.
ads library and I just saw different variations of my ads. There
Yes.
was music, there was text, there was this, there was that. The ads had been running for like 7 days at £50 a day or even £75. It's not a lot of money, but given how little the budget for paid social was at
Yeah.
that role,
Yeah.
so that's one notification. Now she sent it, she didn't send it directly to me. She sent it to somebody else, who sent it to somebody else. And another person who was not even meant to see the ad saw the ad and was like, why is there music on this ad? Right. So it wasn't just like, because Meta would advise you to do different creative formats. So one person saw a carousel, another person saw a video, another person saw an image. It was also a mixed bag. It was like a pot of many different issues. So
Yes.
my first thing was, because the way it went over my head. So even my manager had not heard.
Okay.
Somebody else just saw it, like someone who could message me directly, like, oh, look, these images I created. Let's say the graphics designer saw it. I said, I created these images in purple. Why is it showing in green? Can you look into that, please? I'd already gotten the first message from the senior most marketing person
Yeah.
who sent it to another person. I could see the mail trail. They forwarded the
Yeah.
mail trail. I just said,
Yeah. Yeah.
can
Yeah.
you,
You're like,
can
wow,
you,
loads of people already know about
right?
this. Yeah.
So the controversy was happening, and then my boss is not online. And I wanted to fix it and just move on. But the right thing to do was to let my boss know, right? Because he's in SLT, something might happen tomorrow and they bring it up. So I let him know and I was like, look, I went to Reddit. Apparently, it's a new thing on Meta. They now add all these things that you have to turn off. It's 9, they add 9 enhancements and you have to turn off everything. I was setting up Google, setting up Bing, Microsoft ads. I was setting up probably Reddit or maybe Pinterest. You know, many channels. Meta took the most time, obviously, because it's already a difficult setup sometimes. And then I didn't see it. And yes, we've already spent 5 times 7. So £300 has gone into this awful, awful branding design. And
Yeah.
again, you know how we do in the UK, we separate brand from performance all the time.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
brand people were having a nightmare because they're like,
Mhm.
customers have seen this. You know, I had to do a report of how many people have seen the ads, what the demographic looks like, things I wouldn't have had to do till the end of the month. And
Yeah.
I'm doing 14-day learning with Google. 7 days has already passed. That's my focus. So it was a nightmare because money had gone into it and the brand had been. It's like, you know, it's like the way they made it seem is like someone stained the shirts with red oil. Like it was just so bad. And it went up to, you know, when this kind of thing happens, if it was my manager that's where I cut it, would have quickly, you know, between
Yeah. Yeah.
ourselves,
It was the
it's not
client.
agency. This
Yeah.
is in-house. We would have
You know.
sorted it
Oh,
out.
yeah. Yeah.
But then the director, the chief something had seen it, someone on the board had seen it. It was just a nightmare. So the first thing we had to do is very easy because a lot of times I worked in a business where we'll say, oh, Meta is at it again. Zuck has done something, but really 7 days in, you could have cut
Yeah.
it on day 2 when you went back to check
Yeah.
that your ads were running. So
Yeah.
there was never going to be a case of you would be fired, thankfully. It was more, because if that happened on Google, the conversation would have been longer
Sure.
because
Sure.
Google was spending
Yeah.
6 figures
Six
basically on
figures.
Google.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by day 3, we would have already spent like God knows how much by then. So it
Mm.
was very humbling because a lot of times people complain about Meta. People are personally victimized by it, blah, blah, blah. But I've been running Meta for years. It's simple. And they caught me off guard. So the first thing was humility. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I should have
Yeah.
double checked. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. I've
Yeah.
never seen this. This is a new bug. It's a
Yeah.
new problem. I had a new bug 2 weeks ago on Meta, but I know how to handle it better now. But I broke down because I was like, this, because when I explained to you that I have a pie chart, 90% is going to Google Ads. Another 5% is going to Microsoft. The remaining 5% is shared among paid social. Then Meta gets one of them. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
irrelevant, doesn't even matter in terms of my performance in the business or the business numbers. It's just one of those you have to be there so that in case competitors are there, you're also at the front,
Yeah.
right? Just be a
Yeah.
market lead. So I
Yeah.
had to apologize. I had to do a standard operating procedure. And then I had to also sign up to a newsletter from Meta when they have new features. I want to be the first to know so that I know
Yeah.
how to adjust it for that. And then it went well because my manager was kind of like, it's just Meta. We will handle it. It's the smallest piece of our pie. But, it had come all the way to the top from the board, your
Yeah.
peak and your board, somebody
Yeah.
on your board has
Yeah.
saying
The eyes
something.
on it was a
Is this
lot.
why the
Eyes
numbers
on
are
it was
low?
a lot. Can I
Yeah.
ask a question? Because, like, as you were saying, like, there, like, it started off in a way where, yeah, the one of the higher ups saw it as an ad because they was looking for someone, so it was good targeting, and
Yeah.
they then sent it to someone, and then even when they asked you, you were like, oh, it's not me, you went into, what is it,
Ads manager, Meta
as
ads manager.
manager, yeah, to check the creatives that you've put up. But at what point, where did you need to go for you to then properly realize? Or is it an ads manager that you did realize,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, this is
So
what Facebook has done. This is what Meta has
yes.
done. Okay. So what
Yeah.
is it that Meta had done? Was it like a default setting that you needed to have turned off?
Exactly. So what Meta does now is when Meta introduces a new feature, they make it automated. Then they give
Yeah.
you all these little fine prints. Oh, you can turn off this. This is turned on. So you have to go into your ad preview or whatever and then start turning off all those enhancements. So
Yeah.
I was very confident it wasn't me, but I think it was when the graphics designer messaged me because we're on the same level, right? So she messaged me like, oh, have a look at this. Something is wrong. I was like, that's my mail. Like, what's going on? So I went into ads manager. But all of
Yeah.
this happened within like 3 hours. It was back to back
Sure.
on a Tuesday morning.
Sure.
Thankfully, it wasn't a Monday because they would have just
Yeah.
said, oh, that's why performance is bad. Because we do
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
week reviews.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's because of the wrong numbers or the wrong colors. So in the end, my manager was really, really good about it just because he felt like it's just a random channel and they
Yeah.
brought a new feature that is well documented that
Yeah.
this is the new feature and there's screenshots of the new feature. There's, Meta will do a good job. Product marketers there, they'll tell you the new feature, what it does, what it's meant to do, turn it on to increase the enhancements. Numbers were not, there was no difference with the numbers. So it wasn't like we say, oh, it was a mistake that ended up making sense. It panned out in the end. Meta
Yeah.
was right. Adding music helps. No, it was a mistake that just happened. And then, it's one of those environments where you need to take responsibility. So I had to say, oh, look, it was me. I made this mistake. I put a mail together, put a standard operating procedure, put a new update. Like, this is Meta's new update, and this is how we're going to make sure it doesn't affect us in the future. And then we also had to change the way we do our creatives because where the text was covered like parts of the call to action. So we had to change the positioning. People call that the Andromeda updates, which is a long thing, but yeah,
Yes. I
that's
know
part of the brainchild of said update. So it was very dynamic, very humbling, but it taught me a lot because I had, like I said at the beginning, Google Ads, there's no mistake I've not made on Google Ads. Like I Google Ads in the early teens, 2020, 2016, 2017, 2018. Every day they will roll out a new feature that you had to
Yeah.
basically learn to do your job over
Yeah.
again.
Great thing.
So a lot of SOPs, a lot of newsletters, a lot of public figures you follow on the matter. You read search engine land, like there's a new, even on the PPC Live community, somebody said, this flagging this now, this is a new update on Google. I'm like, another
Wow.
thing to learn,
Already another
another
thing.
thing to learn.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Meta was new in that sense. And that's why I picked this particular one, because sometimes you feel like I know this thing, I know these platforms. And then
Yeah.
you learn very quickly that it can switch up on you anytime. And that the triumph from it for me was that I now have a proper SOP for paid social. And I now know, like, so now 2 weeks ago, I had a new problem with Meta, which is same dynamic thing. They introduced a new feature and made it default. But instead of running around I caught it at the time of setup,
Yeah.
paused the ads, went to
Yeah.
their support, fixed it before I
Yeah.
now went live. And
Yeah.
I'm freelancing, so it was a client. So I had to tell the client, look, Meta has made a new update. It's your choice if you want me to go live with the new update or wait for them to get back to me on how to undo this new update for this account. And they were like, yeah, let it go live. And then we'll come back, set up a new one when they get back to you. Obviously, they took like 3 days. We sorted it out. We're in a better place. But I learned so much. It was early last year, but I learned so much from that interaction. Like, yeah, like
About putting SOPs in, about going into those like your defaults. Yeah, the default settings when an account is going live, and yeah, with all the new AI and updates. And that's right. Even with Google, I don't know how much folks paid attention to this. AI Max will be turned on defaults when you create a new search campaign. Because obviously they are trying to push that whole, work with AI, create an AI friendly campaign. And yeah, they've gone from what? When did AI Max come out? Maybe like last year? Is it even it's just over a
I
year?
remember that article. You know what's funny? I remember the AI overview article that you wrote. Something about ads coming to AI overview at one point. It
Yeah,
was still very early days, and now we're AI Max.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not up to a year. The whole
No,
window.
it's not really. And obviously, and now they're doing like, yeah, they've confirmed it was Ginny Marvin, the Google ads liaison has said that the default option is AI Max will be turned on. So that's another thing. That was always a big thing when I started in industry, like let's say like 2008, 2010. It's always like, look at those default settings. What are those guns? Sometimes if you missed and and left it to go live, you'll have a lot of people, for best practice now is that well known, you separate your display campaign and Google campaigns. But Google, once you're creating a search campaign, it'll automatically default on the setting of show your keywords on the display channel network as well. And all of a sudden you have a horrible CTR, very high CPCs, and you're like, what am I doing? I've got exact match keywords going on here. And all of a sudden you realize your display setting is on. And so all those settings, you need to really pay attention to what's going on with them. So like, yeah, going back to this, right? Yeah, this is so, I know we're talking about Meta, but you start realizing that the different, big channels, they kind of go after like the same things and kind of thing. There are loads of crossovers and the learnings you need to have for both of them. But yeah, going back to your story. So in those moments that you really figured it out, how did it make you feel? Are you the kind of person that really, you saw the work and yeah, you yourself made it, because some people will be like, for me anyway, I might go, oh God, I should quit. It's the board member that figured out this mistake. And, maybe I won't, but at least if for a moment, I'll have my heart in my chest pumping and I'll just need to like have a moment of like, what the heck just happened? And I'll be really scared. So like, how did it affect you emotionally? Or were you just fine and you went on with
So
it?
okay, so I feel like with I should quit or whatever, I didn't feel that level of pressure.
Good.
Yeah, I was a bit embarrassed. Like, obviously, I had to work with these people, show up to work tomorrow, tell you I'm the expert on this, explain PMAX, explain this, tell you about DSA and RSA and what's changing on Google. And then something has happened on Meta, which I'm supposed to be looking after as well. Right. But I think my comfort, where I found comfort is immediately I went to Google, searched for it. The first Reddit, there was a full like on the subreddit for PPC, people had already started talking about it. Watch out for this. You guys need to be careful. And I think that gave me comfort, like, oh, this is a common error that can happen because of how the platforms are designed. Right. I took responsibility, of course. Like by day 2, there was no reason why I didn't go back to check that ad. There was no reason why I didn't send an ad preview link around. Because I just thought the China was irrelevant. And then it also made me pay more attention to Microsoft ads because Google was taking a chunk of the budget, obviously, at the time. And in most businesses, Google has the reach, they have the scalability. And then that's when I really took on our Microsoft ads because eventually we winded down on paid social at the end because we were
Okay.
trying, not related to that issue, but in the end, but it made me focus a lot more on Bing. And as at the time I left that business, Bing was the highest performing in terms of cost per acquisition,
Okay.
lifetime value, but we just didn't have the scale. So we didn't have the
Yeah.
numbers, but the little
Yeah.
we had. So it made me think about it like, maybe paid social is not for us. Like, yeah, we fixed this issue, but still nothing came out of it. Like, we didn't get the conversions we wanted. We just had the visibility. Google is great. There's no issue. Microsoft came up. Like we were doing import directly from Google Ads and just push it out. But Microsoft then became my child. Like I started looking at what we could do better there. I ended up on a panel last year talking about how, Microsoft is so great for your business if you're targeting this type of people, that scalability is not there. Even Microsoft knows that. Like there are not as many people. They don't have the numbers to compete as much. But if you consider like that helps me think about maybe we shouldn't maybe spending so much time on Meta for this business. It's not a pet brand. It's not a pet food brand or something really simple like that. It's a complicated business. Maybe we need to think more about not just display, but finding intent. It gave me a new way to think about it. And it wasn't like I was the only PPC person on team and then I had an agency. And the agency didn't manage our Meta. So it really didn't get to them. They didn't
Yeah.
find out about this. This was
Yeah.
mostly in-house. So there was no embarrassment, but it was just a realization because I had to do SOP. I had to send emails. I had to look at my numbers. I had to check what was different, compare this week that the mistake was there to last week. I just realized paid social is actually not for us. So maybe we should think
Yeah.
about because we really wanted
Yeah.
to reduce our reliance on Google Ads. That was
Yeah. Yeah,
we
yeah,
entered
yeah,
this
yeah. A lot
world.
of people say that. A lot of brands are trying to do that because, yeah, it's like, yeah, 90% of the budget. But with Google being such a monopoly and they inflate a lot of stuff, you want to be like, yeah, okay, how do we actually get the same kind of visibility on a channel that's going to give us better efficiency? And there's several of those channels that'll give you better efficiency. Just about
Yeah.
figuring out how to get the volume out of them. Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
I think that scalability is what Google has on everybody. Like
yeah,
everybody's on Google. That's
yeah,
the thing. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So now let's go, into a section of like giving advice to our listeners on if they've come across this mistake or if they do come across this mistake, what they should do. Let's say that literally, yeah, they've just they're the third, fourth, fifth person on on an email chain saying that a campaign that they're running, the wrong ad is live, and all of a sudden they see it and they don't know what's wrong. What's your advice to them? What should they do first?
I think the first thing you need to do is step back and just look at what the problem is. Like, especially if you're lucky and it's not a high performing campaign that's being flagged as an issue, I think you should just pause it.
Yeah,
If it's Google Ads and it's your PMAX and there's a problem, maybe not.
yeah,
Maybe not. Maybe it's your demand gen, your little search ads, local locations, something small. I think you should pause first and look at what the issue is. There's common mistakes. Like people every time will say, "Oh, my competitor's keyword is bidding," and there's this dynamic insertion that usually happens.
yeah,
Dynamic keyword insertion
yeah.
error happens all the time. You get emails from legal teams all the time, like,
Mm,
"Hi, XYZ company is bidding on my keyword. What's the issue? Please, can you know?" But if it's something that is, you can immediately pause and then investigate, just do it right away. Don't argue. Don't say it's not possible. Don't say maybe it's another agency or don't say maybe it's the
yeah.
in-house thing. Don't point fingers. Check which part of it is your accountability. It's one of the things I learned early on in my career. There's no need of pointing fingers. Just check yourself, like, check if you're the one that made the mistake and there's a way you can quickly fix it or see what the impact of that mistake has been for the business so far. Then
Yeah.
you will be able to respond accordingly. And then if it's a really, really bad one,
Mm,
you might be able to get your numbers ready for a new role. We don't know how bad it gets. Sometimes
right.
it gets
Yeah,
really bad, but
it
this is
can.
where we are. Like, just take
Yeah.
accountability and check.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're getting way into this conversation, and I want to also, pick your fantastic brain as to, other ways that people are making mistakes, or whether it's in terms of just building such campaigns or in terms of, AI. It's the topic of the day, of the month, of the year. But before we go into that section, what's one final takeaway that you want the listeners to take away from just that story you've shared? What's like a final takeaway? And if people have been busy and didn't pay attention to most of that story you shared, what's one big takeaway you want them to go away with?
I think that you should always, no matter how small the budget is, next day, please check your campaign. Be sure that everything is fine. Fresh pair of eyes. Sometimes we set up until late, like depending on the channel, depending on the word, like depending on the automations you have set up, the kind of company you work for. You know, some companies don't allow certain tools. You can't automate like as
Yeah.
such. If you spend the whole day on Google Ads editor, it's gone live. You forgot to push publish to Google Ads. There's so many issues that can happen. But the next day, fresh pair of eyes, block out your meetings, look through your campaigns bit by bit, even though you've looked at it on the Google Sheets, you've looked at it on Microsoft Excel, you've looked at it with your manager, you signed it off, you checked the website, you've checked the landing page, still go the next day, 3 days later, keep checking to make sure that there's no typo. You know, sometimes you just pay space by mistake and
Yeah.
that costs you so much. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, just check.
But, check your,
Yeah,
and especially that whole for me. I've said it. I had a chat with this with another guest about your eyes before you put a campaign live and after is like two separate kind of eyes. As soon as you set something live, you'll see a mistake that even though you did great attention to detail, just as soon as you post that thing, you all of a sudden go, oh my God, wrong CPC for that keyword. Oh my God, wrong campaign, daily budget for that campaign. And it's not that you were lazy, and it's not that you didn't have an SOP, and it's not that you didn't, do all the best practice. You just see things differently after you've set something live.
100%.
So yeah, always make sure you do that like a few days after you set a campaign. Just go back and do those steps again. Be like, okay, let's make sure everything is actually as it's supposed to be. So yeah, very good shout out and very good tip for our listeners there. All right. So now let's move on from from that, because I almost feel like this is like therapy for my guests in terms of like, let's talk about that thing that happened so that you can be like, look, you've moved on from it, but now let's properly move on from it. That's in the past, and we'll leave that in the past now. But like, how about like when you've taken on a new account or you've joined a new company and you're trying to, audit things, and you're trying to like pick out like, those quick wins, because of the mistake or the wrong way a preference agency was doing it. What's one of those kind of mistakes that you see that, you really enjoy to tackle because you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this because it's such an easy fix. Do you have any examples like that?
First of all, I've been personally victimized by the term quick wins. I hate that term so much. There's no such thing. Like,
Yeah,
because
there's nothing like quick win. You literally
I,
you need to sit with it.
so, because when you think about, like, I don't know, because I do e-com and lead gen, and I even do apps, like, so app installs and tech and all of that. There is so many times, like the ones that I've seen that is really, really common that kind of surprises me sometimes is when I go into a Google Ads account or I go into Microsoft Ads account and I see that there's mismatched URLs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a very common one. So I'll break it down. So a
Sure.
lot of times, like when companies have so there's, when a company is unstable, I think that that's the right word. So they've changed their agency. They've not done a proper handover to the new agency. Somebody on the team came interim. There was a FTC person who just did what they could do. They're just trying
Yeah.
to keep the light. Everything is just, sometimes you go into an account and it's chaos,
Yeah.
right? One thing I notice sometimes is the ad could be for one thing. The URL is something else. It's
Yeah.
very common. Even big
Wow.
agencies,
Wow.
because sometimes they make edits and also it might be due to the instability of the business. So if you have a
Yeah.
business that is ever changing in a new industry or they're always taking advice. So some agency has said your landing page CTA needs to be this, your landing page, somehow those kind of mistakes can happen. I've
Yeah.
seen somebody advertising a product with discounts. You go to the landing page, different products, no discounts, new products. Landing page is talking about a new product, no discounts.
Yeah.
Ad copy is telling you discount on all the offers, click link to buy. E-com mistake, common, very common, especially if you're using all this, you go on Google, well, I say Google Excel now, but I'm sure Claude and Chat GPT and whatever new one is out there can do it now, where you just say you have one landing page, you have product numbers, you're just changing the product numbers automatically, or you're just doing a cut and join, as we call it. You just do, or add this to this, and then mistakes like that can happen when you're exporting or whatever. But I
Yeah. Yeah.
noticed that a lot, and I know that people make that mistake on Google Ads Editor. Comes
Yeah.
from there. They're doing specific keywords, landing page. Keywords should have a different landing page. Ad group should have a different landing page. Then you do dynamic insertion. So I think that one is a big one, URL management. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's people that's their only job, but it would
Yes.
make sense if you are like an ASOS or a really, really big company that has a lot of products, that has somebody who is in charge of your URL, UTM, measurements, and things like that. Because you might be sending traffic to the wrong page. It has happened to me. I just started freelancing in May. It's happened to me on like 3, 4 account audits I've done. Why is this
Yeah.
landing page still live on the ad,
Yeah.
but it's no longer live? There's even some that your landing page is sending you to 404s. Ideally, Google is supposed to cancel that, but it might slip under the cracks even for Google. So that
True.
URL one is very popular. Maybe because my background is in tech, is one of the ones I pick very quickly. I'm sure people will
Interesting.
have those grammar ones and things like that. But you see
Yeah.
that URL,
URL.
UTM, URL, it's
Mm.
very common. And
Yeah.
then you now go into the levels of events, conversion. Sometimes people just have conversions for everything. A view is a conversion. A key event is a view. It's just, I
My
can already
God.
see your
Yeah.
frustration, but those ones are
Yeah.
more, as you go up. But the URL is very
Yeah.
common, more common than you see. Even some
Yeah.
really popular people taking accounts from them. And I'm like, you made this mistake. That's interesting. But also,
Yeah.
it happens. And
It
there's no
happens. Yeah.
judgment, to be fair. And yeah, people use it for sales and say, oh, anybody worth their salt shouldn't do this. It's a common
Yeah.
one.
Being very kind, saying no judgment. I'm judging folks. Sorry, I am judging you. If your landing page is not, because it's something that I've been saying, because it even connects with talking about things like CRO, conversion rate optimization. And people are like, I just want paid search work. So we need to drive paid search, and your landing page, the people or it might even be like a divide between SEO and paid search, because SEO, they're the ones really a lot of the time, from my limited knowledge, that are usually in charge of, like, the landing page and whether the URL, and because they're always trying to make
They're
that URL
indexing and stuff.
SEO optimized, and indexing and that kind of stuff. And if SEO and PPC are not talking, and all of a sudden SEO decide they're going to change it because they want to make it a different URL, you don't tell your PPC counterpart. They're still driving like sales to a landing page that is not working, and because you've optimized it for it to be different. And so, yeah, it's a big thing for people to. Another point that I like to really make in our world of paid search or world of digital marketing, now more than ever, drop the silos, work together into the different departments, so that when one thing changes, you communicate that to everybody, so that anyone that could be related, anyone that change might affect, they know what to do, or they take the next step, or at least you've told them, so that if they decide to ignore you, you can go, well, we told you things are changing. It was your job to pick it on. But then everybody's just, anyway, sorry. I could
Yeah.
do a
No,
whole
no, it's
episode. I
fine.
could talk for an
About
hour
silos. I know
fully
what you
about the,
mean.
the
I know
annoyance
what
of
you mean.
silos and how it still happens, even though I've been saying this
Because
for
it's
years.
it's the same, especially when you think about it. Like in the case where you have a different PPC agency, you have a different SEO
Yeah,
agency, blah blah blah
yeah,
blah. I can understand maybe one marketing manager can't do all of that, but if you have an in-house team
yeah,
or you have an agency that is multifunctional, why is your
yeah,
SEO your PPC? Sometimes your paid social is not even talking to your paid search.
yeah,
Everybody needs to communicate, and it shouldn't even be like, oh, flagging this. You guys should already have a way that you sync every month,
yeah,
or a
exactly.
way
And all the
like something
alerts.
that there's
Everybody sees the
yeah.
alerts. Yeah,
It's just, but that's a conversation for another day, not
yeah.
today.
Yeah, it
Not
is. It
today.
is.
Not
Because, yeah,
today.
we're going to, and the heat is already too much for us to start getting aggravated
We're on
about
an island.
people on the
This is a
silo.
Caribbean. This is a Caribbean weather.
We're a
It's just
Caribbean island. Technically,
yeah,
UK is an island, but it just
yeah,
we need more cocktails and need more
as most
beach
has.
style
Yeah,
areas.
but this is where we are. This
But
is
in
where we are.
terms of still on the mistakes thing, let's also now talk about AI and how people you feel like might be using AI wrong. I know that's another one that we could talk for a whole hour, but let's try to succinct it to about at least like one or two, mistakes
Okay.
that you see often that really annoy you.
Okay, so I this is not my personal experience, just because I'm an AI skeptic, but I'm also an optimist, so it's like a mixed bag. So I always watch what AI is doing. I never take it or her. I wanted to say something about Meta again, but I'm not going to go into that. Let's just move on. But I think that one common thing is, and I've heard about this from the agency side. So I'm not technically agency, but I have clients, right? So sometimes people argue with me based on what ChatGPT told them. I was talking to Des about this yesterday, Des Carlton, and he
Yes.
was telling me that it's very obvious when people are feeding you back based on what the AI has said. And it's like, that
Yes.
doesn't make sense because we're
No.
talking to other human beings. Who cares what AI said? Like, I've been doing this for years. This is what the numbers look like. If you do what AI has asked you to do, you know how, like, I know you're not really in accounts anymore. Sorry. But when you go to Google Ads, it has all these auto recommendations for you.
Yeah. Now I know about
Oh,
auto
okay. You
recommendation.
know about
I
that.
know
Okay.
so well about it.
So,
Auto
so now
recommendation.
it's not like a blinker. It's like
Yeah.
blinking. So sometimes some clients, they do one or two courses and they feel like I can do this. So sometimes they accept all the recommendations. Someone has told me this before. Someone told me like her client did it. He accepted all the recommendations on the accounts. Every single AI type, it to improve your CVR, it to improve your CPA, your CLA, LAP, whatever. And they just had a trading meeting and it was really, really bad. Like the numbers were down in a way that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And they reached out to the agency. And the first thing now, the first thing is to blame. Like, who is at fault for this? And I was speaking to an agency owner. So she was like, the person that handling the account, what's going on? Just to check the change history, your client has accepted every single auto recommendation from AI because it's not Google's rep doing it. Uh, and that's not something that only clients do. Small business owners are doing it. Even people in house, you just send your reports. You send it to ChatGPT and say, give me recommendations on how to do this better. But
Yeah.
AI doesn't know what the business goals are. It doesn't know what their lifetime value is. It doesn't know what their overhead is. It doesn't know what if it's e-com, it doesn't know what the return rate is. How many people are buying and returning? How does that bottom line to revenue? It doesn't have the context of the ROAS. It just sees numbers. So I feel like a lot of times we want to outsource stuff to AI, which I've been pushing. I'm pitching to everybody in Brighton now. I want to come and tell people how AI is making them stupid. But like you need to have that. Sometimes you have to look at your data and see what the data is telling you. Compare it to
Yes.
last year, check 2 years before, check the changes, look at it with your own eyes because
Yes.
that's the thing. We've been training for years by ourselves. Now,
Yes.
this thing comes 4 years ago. I mean, some people are just 4 years in. Sorry about that. But this thing comes 4 years ago and it's going to tell you how to do your job that you've been doing since before when you still had collagen. No,
Yeah.
not that. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like, and I think that one of the things that really stresses me out when people are like, well, AI first, what AI, you should be AI native or AI fluent, not AI first. You should be data
Yes.
driven, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah, whatever. Let's not go into that. So much to unpack. But I feel like one of the things that, yeah, even Chima, because I went for one of, I think Women in Tech SEO, she spoke and she was like, AI is garbage in, garbage
Yeah, what's
out.
out? Absolutely.
You have to know what you're doing. I really pity junior people right now, just because when you think about how you became a manager, you had people to manage, and those people couldn't do anything without you. You had to tell them. Like I remember my own manager who went on holiday and left me with a Google Ad campaign. I didn't know what to do, and I was crying in it. I went to a conference room and I was in tears because I opened the Google Ads Manager. This was like 2018. I opened the Google Ads Manager. It was it was oil and gas. I'd been doing FMCG, full on awareness, some bit of e-com, but this was oil and gas, different sector, different segments. I looked at the numbers, everything was it was bad. But apparently by industry standard, that was
Yeah.
really, really good. But I didn't know, so I was in tears. Someone had to use the meeting room, walked in on me in tears, and was like, why are you crying? And I was like, look at my numbers. And he's like, yeah, this is really good for oil and gas. I went about his day and I was like, how is this good for what's the industry standard for oil and gas? And it's
Yeah.
much less than FMCG. I
Yeah.
didn't know that I was
No.
fresh out of uni, 2 years in, not even 2 years in, 1 year into that job, didn't know anything. And that's what AI is. Sometimes, because even sometimes like I had to correct Claude the other day and tell Claude this is the new update. And Claude is like, yeah, you're right. I was doing some
Yeah.
API stuff and
Yeah. Yeah.
both Claude and ChatGPT were wrong. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, this is the
Easy.
correct thing. And why am I training
Easy.
the AI for free anyway? That's
Yeah.
another day, another
That's
problem.
another day. And gosh, I hope our audience are patient enough to get all these fantastic insights that we're giving because we've been talking for a long while, but you've given so much great great insight into what really people should be paying attention to, whether it's like, the lessons from the mistake that you did, and or like that whole like landing page stuff, and how like silos are really still pushing things apart for brands and for clients and for agencies. And yeah, with AI, don't just take its word. You are the experts in that field, and it doesn't have to take over everything you're doing. But yeah, Bolu, that has been a fantastic conversation. Really, really enjoyed that. Thank you for being so open and very passionate about what you're
Yeah.
doing.
I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
love performance marketing. Shout
yeah,
out PPC though.
yeah, man. Shout out
regardless,
PPC and
regardless,
performance.
love it. Keeps food on
It
the
is.
table and it's
That's
actually
amazing.
exciting. Never
Oh,
a dull
lovely.
moment. Thank you so much for
Lovely.
having me, Anu. And
No worries.
yeah,
But yeah, we've still got like a couple, like just last two questions that are more very chill
okay,
ones. If your
okay.
PPC career were a movie, what would the title be?
I don't know. I don't know.
It can be a movie that you've watched that you feel like you really relate to, or
I
you
feel
could just
like
make up a brand new title of something that just makes sense to
okay.
you.
I think it's just it would be sector agnostic. That'd be the name
Okay.
of the movie. Because I don't care. Like, people always want to put you into e-com, B2B, lead gen,
Yeah.
this and that.
Yeah.
There is nothing I don't think I can pick up. But luckily I've had the opportunity to do most of this. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I haven't done gambling. So far, so good.
Okay.
But people have done your money, your life. I've done your money in your life, but not gambling specifically. And I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't do it. But I feel like I'm sector agnostic and I can do
Nice.
anything. I can sell blinds. I can
Yeah.
sell fans. Fans are probably doing very well right now. I saw
Very
three.
well right now. They
Yeah.
do not need to do any paid ads right now.
They should turn on their campaigns and milk this horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, yeah. 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 So sector agnostic. That's
Yes.
your
No
movie.
sectors
Lovely.
for me. I'll take any sector,
I
preferably
think
tech.
that's amazing. What? Yeah,
Okay.
I know you got love for tech. I know you
I
got
do.
love.
I do. Series A. Series A.
But
You
you're
must find it.
versatile still. Even though you have love for
Yes.
one, you're versatile in
I'm
your skill
versatile.
set. Also, I wanted to also ask, because for the fact that we both here, you and I, we love events. We were performance MCR yesterday. What's the next event that people can find you at?
You're going to find me at PPC Live, 29th of July. I will be in London. I wonder what the weather will be saying that day, but I know it's rooftop. We're gonna have a good time. I'm trying to
Bye-bye.
find something funny enough. I was going to say this to you. Yesterday someone said to you, I didn't recognize you because you weren't wearing red. And I was like, oh, I should probably buy red. I don't really wear red. I should probably buy a red skirt or a red top and come to London in that
That would be
for the
nice.
event.
Oh, so if anyone wants to follow you and hear about any of the stuff that you want to share, or if you want to share, where can people find you?
Okay, my name is Boluwa Olojo. So it's Boluwa, Boluwa, Olojo, Olojo, everywhere. By everywhere, it means LinkedIn and Instagram. That's all. Um, and YouTube, maybe. Oh, I'm not on
Eh,
YouTube, so I don't know
How
why I
about
said that.
how about Pinterest though? Aren't you like a Pinterest fan? Or you're more promoted for clients? You're
So
not the Pinterest
Pinterest. So
user.
I do have Pinterest. Funny enough, you actually find Boluwa Olojo on Pinterest, but it's like actually I actually do have decent numbers, but it's not. It's just for friends and family.
Sure.
But my Pinterest account that I talked about at Brighton is not Boluwa Olojo. It's African Spotlight, which is like a fashion account. And then I do have some Pinterest clients. They're more like a fashion. No, not fashion. Style. Well, anyway, fashion. A fashion brand. Anyway, if you
Okay.
find me on
For
Pinterest,
your
follow me.
work. It's
My
the
work
work
is
that you like doing
my
and your
work is
creative stuff.
yeah, my work
Yeah.
is you find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, everything is there. Both of
Yeah.
them are just talking to each other. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Buluwa, thank you so much for joining. This has been such a very great conversation. We're probably gonna need to like
Cut
apologies,
it.
cut a bit some stuff out so that it's people are not like, Annie, we've been listening to you guys talk for 2 hours. Why?
What's this
So
about?
well, not
Sorry.
2 hours, close to an hour. But honestly,
Okay.
like really grateful for you joining us. So yeah, follow Boluwa, whether it's on her LinkedIn or podcast or Instagram. And yeah, so that you can be a better marketer for 2026. But on that note, thank you so much, Boluwa. And yeah, probably we'll definitely be chatting very soon.
Yes.
Even if it's like in the PPC Live Slack or on the
Yes.
29th of July.
Yeah. See you then. Bye.
Thank you so much, Bolu, for sharing that very honest and transparent experience. Because yeah, it's definitely very important to, with all the updates that we're seeing, I know that it can be very confusing and, new things every day. One thing to keep account of, one thing, if you're not going to take anything away, just keep account on what the defaults are now. What are the things, the automations that Google or Meta or these companies will automatically pull in. So whilst you might not want to keep track with all the new articles that are coming out every single day about a new thing, keep track of what your default settings are. So yeah, for all the full information and full transcript of that, please go to podcast.ppc.live for the full details, show notes, and transcript of everything we've talked about today. So yeah, the PPC Live event promo is still keeps going. We've got tickets that are live at about I think it's about £40 now, but it's going to go up on the last week for this fantastic summer party that we're going to do. We've got Scott Caruthers that's going to be talking, Harriet Fitzgerald, who's the head of programmatic at Impression. We've also got Charlotte Osborne, who does like agency training on how you need to prepare for DSA going away, and Veronica Holler, who is like world renowned in talking about AI and AI workflows and AI processes to ensure that you're doing things in the right way. You're not just giving all your data to Claude or or whichever other LLMs that you're pulling in. So yeah, you want to join us there on July the 29th. It's going to start from 1:30 p.m. There's going to be an after party in a beer garden nearby. You do not want to miss this. It's going to be such a fun summer party. So yeah, go to ppc.live for all the details and to get your ticket and snap it up very soon, very quickly. Before I leave you, I am also delighted to share that I am taking on coaching clients. So yeah, if you just need some help with building your confidence for going for that role and just knowing what your next steps needs to be to establish yourself in this industry, let me know. Reach out to me. Go to themarketinganu.com. You'll be able to book a free 15-minute discovery call so that we can chat about your specific needs. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed the show, and I look forward to bringing more PPC F-ups and triumphs next week. Thank you. Bye.